True Crime Story, Steven Stayner, Part 3. The Escape. The day Steven Stayner walked out of Kenneth Parnell's world was March 1st, 1980. It had been 7 years, 3 months, and roughly 25 days since he was last free. 7 years since he was last Steven. Now, 14 years old and burdened by trauma far beyond his age, he wasn't just walking for himself. He was carrying a 5-year-old boy on his back, literally and figuratively. The streets of Ukiah, California were quiet that night. The cold air bit at their skin, and neither Steven nor Timmy White really knew where they were going. They just knew they had to keep walking. Steven had no idea how to contact the police or even where the local station was. He was just a boy, one who had barely remembered his own address, let alone what town he was even in. But instinct took over. The same instinct that had helped him survive for 7 years, now it was guiding him toward freedom. Eventually, they came across a payphone outside a laundromat. Steven hesitated. Then he led Timmy inside and approached a young woman folding clothes. His voice was steady but low. "I need help," he said. "This boy was kidnapped. I was too, but I know where he lives." He didn't even mention himself at first. All he cared about was Timmy. The woman, startled, called the police. Moments later, the door burst open. Flashing lights. Officers rushed in. They looked at Steven, skinny, pale, long-haired. Then they looked at Timmy, small and frightened. The questions came fast. "What's your name? How long have you been gone? Who took you?" Steven hesitated for only a second before answering the question that would shake the nation. "I know my first name is Steven." That sentence, so simple, so devastating, would later become the title of a book and movie about his life, because for all those years he had never forgotten who he was. When the police called Timmy's parents, they broke down sobbing. Their son, gone only 2 weeks, was alive, safe, saved. But Steven's case wasn't that simple. When his name came back in the system, officers stared in disbelief. Steven Gregory Stayner, missing since 1972, presumed dead, now standing in front of them, alive. News spread quickly. Reporters swarmed the station. The headlines hit within hours. Missing boy returns after 7 years. Steven Stayner found alive. Back in Merced, the Stayner family got the call. Cary Stayner collapsed in tears. Delbert, silent and stunned, couldn't believe it. Their son, the boy they lost, was coming home. But what no one understood, not yet, was that Steven wasn't the same child they remembered. How could he be? When Steven returned home, cameras followed him. The front yard was filled with reporters, vans, flashes. Microphones were shoved in his face. "Steven, how does it feel to be home? Did he hurt you? Do you remember your family?" He was overwhelmed. He hadn't slept. He hadn't eaten. And now the entire country wanted to know his story. His mother hugged him tight, unable to let go. His siblings wept. But there was one face that didn't rush toward him. His older brother, Cary. Cary Stayner had lived in Steven's shadow before he vanished. And now, after years of grieving, he was back in it again. And this time the spotlight was blinding. Steven tried to adjust. He re-enrolled in school. He did interviews. He received fan letters. But the truth was far more complicated than the headlines. He was no hero in his own mind. He was a teenager, trapped between two identities. Not quite a child, not yet a man, just a boy who had survived hell and didn't know how to talk about it. Therapy wasn't offered. Support was minimal. The 80s weren't built for emotional nuance. Not for boys, not for trauma, not for stories like his. And while Timmy White was celebrated as the lucky one who got rescued, Steven quietly began to crumble. He drank, he smoked, he got into trouble, he dropped out of school. The trauma festered, unspoken. Parnell was arrested and put on trial. But justice was incomplete. He wasn't charged with rape. He wasn't charged with years of psychological torture. Instead, he got 7 years in prison and served only 5 years for stealing a child, for destroying a life. Steven watched the trial from the sidelines, barely able to comprehend the system that had failed him. When reporters asked how he felt about the sentence, he simply said, "It's not enough." And it wasn't. Because while Parnell went to prison, Steven was the one serving the life sentence every day inside his own mind. He tried to build a life. He got married. He had 2 children. He worked. He smiled. He told his story. But the weight never left. Steven Stayner escaped his captor, but he couldn't escape the silence. He tried to live, to be normal, to heal. But trauma leaves splinters in the soul, invisible to others, sharp to the one who carries them. In part 4, we'll see what became of Stephen, the tragic end of his journey, and how his legacy was forever stained by something even darker: his brother Cary's descent into murder. The Stayner family story doesn't end with survival, it ends in horror.
If you found this story gripping, subscribe for more true crime cases that reveal the dark secrets behind everyday lives. Don't forget to like the video. It helps more people find these stories. And share this with someone who loves real-life mysteries, because sometimes the truth is more shocking than fiction.